One of the highlights of this journey, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, the largest and most costly in terms of casualties battle on U.S. soil. It was a 3-day battle, bloody as hell. The massive assault came from this way. This was the turning point of the war. Fortunate to be here, and definitely a highlight of this trip.
Welcome to the Gettysburg Cyclorama. You're standing behind Union lines on Cemetery Ridge. The round tops can be seen highlighted to the south. To the west is Seminary Ridge and the Confederate lines.
Hey friends, one of the highlights of this journey, no doubt, is where I'm at today. The universe has delivered me to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, the largest and most costly in terms of casualties battle on U.S. soil, with over 50,000 casualties between the Confederates and the Union armies. July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 1863, Robert E. Lee's Confederate Army commanded that landscape, and General Meade controlled the township of Gettysburg, which is just on the other side of that hill, and more or less that landscape. Gettysburg, very significant in terms of it had like 10 roads going through it. Both sides recognized that this is a place to hold on to. Meade and the Union had the high ground, and the Confederates had the numbers. They attacked with big numbers, and you may have recognized General Pickett's last charge or something to that effect happened here. This is Cemetery Hill at Gettysburg, and the massive assault came from this way on that tree line, and just waves and waves and waves of Confederate soldiers, and the Union put them down. You know, it was a 3-day battle, bloody as hell, and on the morning of the 4th of July, 1863, General Robert E. Lee of the Confederate commanded a tactical retreat under heavy rains of that morning, and managed to, fight another day. Meade, for his part, received a tremendous amount of criticism for not following and destroying the Confederate Army. A lot of people thought that he had the chance, but he was outnumbered, and Meade and his generals decided to hold the high ground. Confederates obviously got away, but this was the turning point of the war. The war did continue for another 2 years after this battle, but it was significant in turning the tide. The Confederates never were able to threaten Pennsylvania again. Washington was safe, and therefore, it was kind of the turning point. Pretty significant piece of land as regards American history. So I'm freaking all over it. I'm digging it. I'm loving it. Feeling very fortunate to be here. A lot of shit went down on this ground that decided slavery and what the new territories in the West would look like, and obviously the North-South question. Yeah, phenomenal. Lovely, lovely banger of a visitor center. Very robust. You could spend hours. People obviously do spend hours out here. I mean, if you scan the landscape, there are markers just about everywhere saying something. That's General Lee. That little building over there was his battlefield headquarters. So some crazy stuff, man. Fortunate to be here, and definitely a highlight of this trip. If you ever get the chance, come out and check out the Gettysburg Battlefield and National Monument and Visitor Center in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. All right, checking out from Gettysburg. Peace.
The 19th of November, 1863. 4.5 months after the battle at Gettysburg. 15,000 people have come to Gettysburg to dedicate the new Soldiers Memorial Cemetery. At 3 o'clock that afternoon, Abraham Lincoln rose and addressed the crowd that had assembled. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will, little note, no longer remember what we say here, but can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.